उद्बोधन में, अभिभाषण में मात्र 2-3 बिंदुओं पर मैं अमेठी की सांसद के नाते भी आपकी अनुमति से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहती हूं। राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने अभिभाषण में एक श्लोक कहा था, ग्रंथों का उल्लेख कर उन्होंने कहा कि अयम निजः परो वेति गणना लघु चेतसाम, अर्थात अपना ये है पराया ये, ऐसी सोच होना उचित नहीं। और राष्ट्रपति जी के इसी संकल्प, इसी चिंतन को चरितार्थ किया है मोदी सरकार ने। इसलिए अमेठी की सांसद होने के नाते हमारे यशस्वी प्रधान सेवक का मैं आज विशेष आभार व्यक्त करती हूं, क्योंकि अपने पराये की सोच से परे हटकर मेरे संसदीय क्षेत्र में महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण को अगर मैं अमेठी की दृष्टि से देखूं तो हमने क्या पाया, क्योंकि 50 वर्ष खोया बहुत मेरे संसदीय क्षेत्र ने। आज इस सदन में एक सज्जन जिनको अमेठी ने मैजिक दिखाया और विधानसभा के चुनाव में 4 विधानसभा क्षेत्रों की सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट भी जब्त कराई, ऐसे सज्जन ने हमारे प्रधान सेवक पर कटाक्ष किया। लेकिन मैं अमेठी की ओर से आज इस बात का उल्लेख निश्चित रूप से करना चाहती हूं कि जब रूस के साथ भारत में शस्त्र की दृष्टि से नई तकनीक का संचार हो तो 5,000 करोड़ की लागत की असॉल्ट राइफल की फैक्ट्री अमेठी तब आई जब सांसद भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नहीं था बल्कि कांग्रेस पार्टी का था। राष्ट्र के संरक्षण के लिए अपने पराये का भेद ना कर ये उत्तम उदाहरण मेरे संसदीय क्षेत्र में प्रस्तुत करने के लिए मैं देश के प्रधान सेवक का आभार व्यक्त करती हूं। महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने अभिभाषण में नारी की प्रतिभा, नारी के योगदान और राष्ट्र के भविष्य के निर्माण में नारी की भूमिका को उल्लेखित किया है। आज इस सदन में हमारी एक वरिष्ठ नेता हैं जो निश्चित रूप से महिलाओं की दृष्टि से महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण पर अपने विचार व्यक्त करेंगी। लेकिन एक छोटा सा अपनी ओर से मेरा प्रयास है कि इस सदन को मैं अवगत कराऊं कि ग्रामीण अंचल में महिलाएं जो सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप के माध्यम से अपने परिवार को आर्थिक रूप से सशक्त करती हैं, उनका यूपीए के कार्यकाल में और मोदी सरकार में क्या स्थान रहा। हम सब इस बात को जानते हैं कि एक सदस्य ने यहां चुनाव का उल्लेख किया कि एक चुनाव से पहले एक बहुत ही प्रचलित इंटरव्यू था जिसमें विमेन्स एम्पावरमेंट की बार बार बात हुई, लेकिन वो शब्द धरती पर कितने फलीभूत होते हैं उसका मैं एक प्रमाण यहां देना चाहती हूं। 2009 से लेकर 2014 तक देश भर में सिर्फ 19 लाख सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स को भारत सरकार से सहायता मिलती थी। मोदी सरकार में यह संख्या बढ़कर अब 81 लाख हो गई है। 2009 से लेकर 14 तक जो राशि इन सभी सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स को दी गई वो लगभग 80,000 करोड़ थी। लेकिन मोदी सरकार में 2014 से लेकर 2022 तक ये राशि बढ़ाकर 4,93,000 करोड़ रुपया की गई। मैं प्रधान सेवक जी का विशेष आभार व्यक्त करती हूं कि विमेन्स डेवलपमेंट के मात्र नारे को ट्रांजिशन करके राष्ट्र का अगर उत्थान करना है तो उसमें अहम भूमिका नारी की होनी चाहिए। मात्र इस एक सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप के आवंटन से ही आज वो प्रतिबिंबित होता है कि नारी और विशेषतः ग्रामीण अंचल की महिला की प्रतिभा पर देश के प्रधान सेवक को कितना नाज है और कितना विश्वास है। महोदय, स्वास्थ्य मंत्री जी यहां उपस्थित हैं। मैंने सदन में पहले भी कहा, आज भी कहती हूं, हमारे समाज में, ग्रामीण अंचल में, गरीब तबके में महिला को अगर आप कभी पूछें साल 2014 से पहले कि क्या सार्वजनिक रूप से सर्विक्स कैंसर का और ब्रेस्ट कैंसर का कहीं भी उल्लेख होता था, ग्रामीण अंचल और गरीब तबके की महिला ये कहेगी कि इसका उल्लेख सामाजिक दृष्टिकोण से ना हो, ऐसा नहीं था। साधन उपलब्ध नहीं थे गरीब महिला को, इसलिए वो चर्चा में इस विषय को नहीं लाती थी। आज भी हजारों सैकड़ों महिलाएं ऐसी हैं कि अगर बुखार भी आ जाए तो अपनी नहीं, अपने परिवार की पहले चिंता करती है। मैं आभार व्यक्त करती हूं देश के प्रधान सेवक का और अभिनंदन करती हूं स्वास्थ्य मंत्री जी का कि आयुष्मान भारत योजना के अंतर्गत 31 करोड़ कैंसर की स्क्रीनिंग हुई, जिसमें से लगभग 13 करोड़ से ज्यादा देश की गरीब महिलाएं थी। ऐसा नहीं था उस महिला को पता नहीं था कि ब्रेस्ट का कैंसर हो, सर्विक्स का कैंसर हो तो उसे किस प्रकार की सुविधा चाहिए। वो बोझ नहीं बनना चाहती थी, चर्चा नहीं करना चाहती थी, तिल तिल कर मरती थी। आज आयुष्मान भारत के माध्यम से उसे ये सुरक्षा का कवच दिया, ये आत्मीय और मानवीय काम किया। इन्हीं मानवीय मूल्यों का उल्लेख महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण में था। चूंकि स्वास्थ्य मंत्री यहां बैठे हैं, अध्ययनशील है, निशिकांत जी का आज मैंने भाषण सुना, वो मैजिक ऑफ नंबर्स की बात कर रहे थे। 50 लाख से लेकर 90 करोड़ की यात्रा का उल्लेख कर रहे थे। अब हम संसदीय क्षेत्र जो मुख्यतः ग्रामीण है वहां से हैं, एक मैजिक वहां भी हुआ। और महोदय, आपकी अनुमति से निशिकांत जी ने आज कहा वो सब ऑथेंटिकेट कर सकते हैं, कुछ कागज मैं भी लाई। 1981 में एक फाउंडेशन ने, जो काफी विख्यात है अमेठी में, उन्होंने लगभग 40 एकड़ जमीन ली और वहां की सरकार से कहा, तब सरकार किसकी थी, जो इतिहास के विद्यार्थी हैं वो भली भांति जानते हैं, उसकी प्रति मेरे हाथ में है। वहां पर यह कहा गया कि आप जमीन दे दो 40 एकड़ हमें और हम अमेठी की गरीब जनता के लिए एक मेडिकल कॉलेज बना देंगे। अब 40 एकड़ जमीन का मैजिक 623 रुपए में। ₹623 का रेंट और
सूरज जी सुनिए,
623 रुपए का रेंट 30 साल तक, 30 साल तक अमेठी के गरीब नागरिकों को ये बार बार कहा गया कि आपके लिए मेडिकल कॉलेज खोल देंगे जी। लेकिन आज अगर कोई अमेठी गया है तो जानेगा कि जिस धरती पर वो कॉलेज खोलने की बात कर रहे थे, उस पर उस परिवार ने अपने लिए गेस्ट हाउस बनाया। मैंने स्वास्थ्य मंत्री जी का उल्लेख इसलिए किया कि अपना और पराये का भेद ना हो। भले ही एक परिवार अपने फाउंडेशन के माध्यम से अस्पताल चलाता हो, अगर उनको भी आयुष्मान भारत में सेवा देनी है वो दे। उसका प्रतीक स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय के माध्यम से, मोदी सरकार के माध्यम से मैंने अपने संसदीय क्षेत्र में देखा। लेकिन महोदय, आज मेरे हाथ में एक रिपोर्ट और है जो मुख्य चिकित्सा अधिकारी जनपद अमेठी उनसे संबंधित। इसमें एक मरीज का उल्लेख है जिसका नाम है नन्हेलाल मिश्रा। उस मरीज का दोष यह था कि वो उस जगह गया जहां पर इस परिवार का स्वामित्व है और अस्पताल चलता है, और ये कहा जाता है अमेठी में उनके परिजनों ने वीडियोग्राफिक एविडेंस दिया कि मरीज ने जाकर कहा, मैं आयुष्मान भारत से जुड़ा हूं, मोदी जी ने कहा है 5 लाख रुपए में मेरा मुफ्त का इलाज होता है, आपका अस्पताल इसमें चिन्हित है, आप मेरा इलाज करिए। नन्हेलाल मिश्रा को लौटा दिया गया और कहा गया, मोदी का कार्ड लाए हो, जाओ यहां। काश नन्हेलाल मिश्र आज इस सदन को बता सकते कि गंभीर बीमारी में लौटाए जाने से कितनी परेशानी होती है। लेकिन महोदय, ना उनकी आवाज इस सदन तक पहुंचेगी, ना सदन के बाहर तक पहुंचेगी, क्योंकि उनकी मृत्यु हो गई। और ये रिपोर्ट है जो कहती है कि मरीज की बीमारी के अनुरूप उनका इलाज नहीं हो सका। ये वो लोग हैं जो आज नरेंद्र मोदी पर बैठकर इस सदन पर कटाक्ष कर रहे थे, प्रहार कर रहे थे। इन लोगों ने एक सज्जन को उस संसदीय क्षेत्र में जहां 50 साल इनका राज रहा, आदमी को मरने दिया क्योंकि उसके पास आयुष्मान भारत का कार्ड था। 623 रुपए प्रतिवर्ष 40 एकड़ जमीन पर आज भी विराजमान है। लेकिन आभार व्यक्त करती हूं देश के प्रधान सेवक का, अमेठी को पहला मेडिकल कॉलेज 290 करोड़ से ज्यादा की लागत पर अगर किसी ने दिया तो मानवीय मूल्यों का परिचय देते हुए नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ने दिया। यहां बहुत ठहाके लगाए गए कि कोई यात्रा पे निकला था, इसलिए उनको लोगों ने कहा कि भैया जमीन हमारी जा रही है। मैं उनसे कहना चाहती हूं, अगर गरीब की इतनी चिंता है तो पहले सम्राट साइकिल, अद्भुत दृश्य था महोदय। सिर्फ 1980 के दशक में अस्पताल के नाम से झांसा नहीं दिया गया, कहा गया आइए इन्वेस्ट कीजिए, अपनी फैक्ट्री खोलिए, और फैक्ट्री खुलवाई गई। मुझसे ज्यादा अर्थशास्त्र के ज्ञानी निशिकांत जी इसलिए वो मैजिक बता पाएंगे कैसे हुआ। कहा गया आइए फैक्ट्री लगाइए, फैक्ट्री का शिलान्यास करने हम आएंगे, फीता काटेंगे। अचानक फैक्ट्री वो बंद हो जाती है और जमीन फाउंडेशन को चली जाती है। फैक्ट्री की जमीन है ताकि वहां पर नया साधन इंडस्ट्रियल खड़ा हो सके, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो सके, कागज पर दस्तावेज पर चिन्हित है कि आप यहां पर सिर्फ कमर्शियल एक्टिविटी कर सकते हैं। लेकिन अचानक वो जमीन परिवर्तित हो जाती है परिवार के पास, और वो परिवार नहीं अभी है भाई साहब, अभी बताती हूं और डेट्स। वो परिवार उस जमीन को लेता है, उनके फाउंडेशन में लिखा आप कमर्शियल एक्टिविटी नहीं कर सकते। इतने साल वो जमीन खाली नहीं करते। वहां का किसान कोर्ट जाता है इस परिवार के खिलाफ, कोर्ट का आदेश लाता है और वो उस आदेश का हनन करते हैं। आज भी उस जमीन पर बैठे हैं और इस सदन में आकर गरीबों की बात करते हैं। ये एक और आज यहां पर नहीं सुरेश जी को समझ आ रहा है, नहीं है, ये भी प्रति है महोदय, ये भी प्रति है महोदय। एक आधुनिक भारत के निर्माण के लिए जरूरी है कि हर गरीब तक, मध्यम वर्गीय परिवार तक सुविधा पहुंचे। अब चूंकि राष्ट्रपति अभिभाषण में आधुनिक भारत के निर्माण की बात हुई है, तो इसलिए महोदय कहना जरूरी है कि प्रधान सेवक ने कहा कि सिर्फ चुनिंदा शहर नहीं बल्कि आधुनिक तत्व प्रगति के हर गांव, हर जिले तक पहुंचे। एक अचंभित करने वाला नजारा और है, फुर्सतगंज नाम का एक एयरपोर्ट, जहां पर सिर्फ परिवार से संबंधित एकेडमी है, जमीन है सरकार की, लेकिन परिवार ने अपने नाम से, बेटा और बेटी के नाम से हॉस्टल खोल दिया है। यहां पर प्रधानमंत्री जी नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस के नाम से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाते हैं, सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के नाम से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाते हैं, वहां पर राहुल जी के नाम से, प्रियंका जी के नाम से हॉस्टल बना है सरकारी जमीन पर। और बोर्ड पर वो जब थे तो उन्होंने उस पूरी अकादमी के संचालन के लिए किसी हिंदुस्तानी को नहीं, किसी विदेशी कंपनी पर विश्वास किया। उस विदेशी कंपनी ने उस एयरपोर्ट का क्या हश्र किया, यहां पर उस रिपोर्ट में उल्लेखित है। लेकिन आज इस एयरपोर्ट का मैं उल्लेख यहां इसलिए कर रही हूं महोदय कि एक बार सदन में मैं बोल चुकी हूं कि हमारे यहां तिलोई नाम की एक विधानसभा है, वहां पर 30 साल से एक बस अड्डा बना दो, ये हमारी जनता जनार्दन कहती रही। बस अड्डा भी पहली बार तब बना जब प्रदेश में योगी सरकार बनी, देश में मोदी सरकार बनी। और आज अमेठी के सांसद के नाते मैं आनंदित हूं कि फुर्सतगंज एयरपोर्ट को अब उड़ान की स्कीम में सम्मिलित कर लिया गया है और अब अमेठी का साधारण नागरिक भी हवाई सेवा का इसमें फायदा उठा सकता है। इस बात से कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता कि अमेठी की एक बार चर्चा होती थी और मैंने राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण का विशेष उल्लेख इसलिए भी किया। महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी एक बहुत ही गरीब सामान्य परिवार से हैं और इस सरकार की एक बहुत बड़ी मानवीय उपलब्धि यह है कि पद्म पुरस्कार उनको जाता है जो धरातल पर काम करते हैं, मानवीय काम करते हैं, राष्ट्र का नाम रोशन करते हैं बिना इस अपेक्षा के कि उन्हें सम्मानित किया जाएगा। जिसे सालों साल वीआईपी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी कहा जाता था, वहां परिवार से संबंधित नेताओं को तमगा जरूर मिलता था, लेकिन अमेठी में पहली बार एक बेटी को स्पोर्ट्स में पद्म पुरस्कार अगर किसी ने दिया तो वो शोभा अमेठी की बढ़ाई हमारे प्रधान सेवक ने और वो आशीर्वाद दिया महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी ने। मैं सुधा उस बेटी की ओर से आज आभार व्यक्त करती हूं। महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी, हाँ, मैं माइनॉरिटीज की भी वो बात करना चाहते हैं। मैं माइनॉरिटीज की भी महोदय, वैसे आपका महोदय निर्देश ये रहता है, आपका ये निर्देश रहता है महोदय की सिर्फ चेयर जो
रानी जी के वक्तव्य के अलावा कुछ भी रिपोर्ट
और जो निजी वक्तव्य दे रहे हैं ताकि मैं भाषण अपना बंद कर दूं, उनको ना सुनो। तो मैं बताना चाहूंगी महोदय, महिला और माइनॉरिटी दोनों जो शायद इनको शर्मसार कर दे, हज की कली पॉलिसी देश में प्रस्तावित हुई और जब इनकी सरकार थी जो इस वक्त चिल्ला रहे हैं, तब हज की एक एक एप्लीकेशन के लिए पैसा लिया जाता था। जो हज पे नहीं जा रहा उससे भी पैसा लिया जाता था और पहली बार फॉर्म के लिए पैसा गरीब मुसलमान को ना भरना पड़े, ऐसी पॉलिसी मोदी सरकार लाई। 50,000 रुपए हज की यात्रा, उसमें कम खर्चा करना पड़ेगा गरीब को, यह भी कदम मोदी सरकार ने उठाया और भारत की तिजोरी से पैसा निकालकर यह नहीं किया, अनुशासित प्रशासनिक ढांचे के माध्यम से यह किया। आज जिस लोन की ये बात करते हैं, जब इनकी सरकार थी तो मात्र 100 करोड़ का लोन इन्होंने दिया अपनी सरकार में। मोदी सरकार ने माइनॉरिटी में 21,000 से ज्यादा छात्रों को 280 करोड़ रुपया से ज्यादा पैसा दिया। ये छलते रहे देश में माइनॉरिटीज को, ये कहते हुए कि ये इनके हमदर्द हैं। और आज जो मुझसे पूछते हैं कि आपने क्या किया महिला का, अगर आप जेंडर बजट देखें महोदय, तो 2014 में जब इनकी सरकार थी और जो बजट अभी घोषित हुआ है, उस पूरे बजट में जेंडर बजट एक एक मंत्रालय में 130% का इजाफा हुआ है। जवाब दें कि जब इनकी सरकार थी तब इन्होंने महिला को केंद्र बिंदु बनाकर इस प्रकार का आवंटन क्यों नहीं किया। मैं आज दिनकर जी को याद करती हूं। राष्ट्रकवि ने कहा था, प्रण करना है सहज, कठिन है लेकिन उसे निभाना। सबसे बड़ी जांच है व्रत का अंतिम मोल चुकाना। संकल्प मोदी ने किया और इसीलिए आज कीमत चुकाते हैं जब आप बिना किसी तथ्य के उन पर कटाक्ष करते हैं, उन पर आरोप मढ़ते हैं। जिन्होंने आज इस सदन में आरोप मढ़ा वो बताएं कि 40 एकड़ भूमि पर आज भी 623 रुपए क्यों देते हैं, वो भूमि छोड़ते क्यों नहीं और सरकार को वो भूमि लौटाते क्यों नहीं। जिन्होंने आज इस सदन पर कटाक्षों की लहर गिना दी, उनसे पूछती हूं, सम्राट साइकिल अमेठी के किसानों की जमीन आज भी क्यों उस खानदान ने हड़पी है, लौटाते क्यों नहीं कोर्ट ऑर्डर के बावजूद। लेकिन यह मात्र जमीनों की बात नहीं है महोदय, कुछ और तथ्य हैं जो इनको शर्मसार करेंगे, जहां 50 साल एक खानदान ने प्रतिनिधि बनकर इस देश की संवैधानिक स्थानों पर, कुर्सियों पर हक जताया, उन लोगों का उन्होंने क्या हश्र किया, आज मैं बताना चाहती हूं। महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने अभिभाषण में कहा कि प्रतिदिन सरकार प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के अंतर्गत 11,000 घर बनाती है। मैं कहना चाहती हूं कि अमेठी में महोदय 93,000 घर हमारी सरकार ने बनाकर दिए। मतलब लगभग 4 लाख लोगों के पास अमेठी में सर पर छत नहीं थी महोदय, जहां 50 साल इन लोगों का राज रहा। महोदय, आज मैं बताना चाहती हूं, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने अभिभाषण में उल्लेख किया कि 55,000 गैस के कनेक्शन प्रतिदिन दिए गए सरकार द्वारा। अमेठी में 2,14,440 लोगों को जीवन में पहली बार गैस का कनेक्शन तब मिला जब मोदी की सरकार बनी। ये जानना चाहते हैं क्यों मैं अपने लोगों की बात करूं, क्यों ना करूं? महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी ने उल्लेख किया कि गरीब को मुसीबत के वक्त मुफ्त का राशन मोदी सरकार ने पहुंचाया। इस वर्ष 2 लाख करोड़ का व्यय हो रहा है। मेरी लोकसभा क्षेत्र में 18,72,000 लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको मुफ्त का राशन मिल रहा है। मैं उनकी ओर से आभार व्यक्त करती, क्यों ना करूं। 305 किलोमीटर सड़कें सिर्फ मेरे एक जनपद में बनी है महोदय। 5 गांवों का नाम सुना देती हूं। 50 साल में इन 5 गांवों तक कभी सड़क नहीं पहुंची थी। जवाब देना पड़ेगा इन लोगों को जो बड़ी बड़ी डींगे हाँकते थे कि अपने ही संसदीय क्षेत्र में। मैंने महोदय सुना था हिंदी में, दिया तले अंधेरा, चोर की दाढ़ी में तिनका, उल्टा चोर कोतवाल को डांटे। आज इन सारी हिंदी की जितने भी हमारी प्रोवर्ब्स हैं, उनका एक दर्शन मैंने यहां किया है। उनको जवाब देना पड़ेगा। 5 गांव के नाम भी बता देती हूं जहां सड़क ही नहीं पहुंची कभी। इसलिए महोदय, आज महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण पर आभार मैं इसलिए व्यक्त करती हूं कि देश में पहली बार आदिवासी समुदाय की एक बेटी को, एक महिला को राष्ट्र के सबसे उच्च संवैधानिक पद पर मात्र नरेंद्र भाई मोदी के प्रयासों से पहुंचाया गया। इतना ही संतोष नहीं कर रही हूं, मैं गौरव करती हूं इस बात का कि अगर आप समुचित सरकार का आदिवासी क्षेत्र के लिए बजट देखिए तो जब कांग्रेस की सरकार थी तो 19,000 करोड़ रुपया खर्चा करते थे, पूरी सरकार को कहते थे, और जब मोदी जी की सरकार बनी तो 88,000 करोड़ रुपया मात्र आदिवासी परिवारों के लिए हमारी सरकार ने व्यय किया। क्योंकि मैंने दिनकर जी का उल्लेख किया तो आप तो वरिष्ठ हैं महोदय, आप राष्ट्र कवि का कई बार कई भाषणों में उल्लेख भी कर चुके हैं, कई चर्चाओं में उनका उल्लेख कर चुके हैं। उन्होंने कहा था कि सच है विपत्ति जब आती है कायर को ही दहलाती है। वो कौन था जो कहता था विदेश से वैक्सीन लाओ?
Rahul Gandhi bats for GVK group in parliament. Rahul's self-goal leaves party red-faced. Rahul's address boomerangs in parliament. Debating tonight at 9 p.m.
Amity faculty have filed over 1,700 patents. Yet another reason why Amity has been conferred with the National Intellectual Property Award by Government of India for being the top Indian academic institution for patents and commercialization.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of buildings collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Despite many clarifications by the union government, the Congress seems to be in no mood of coming into the house, and that's why these massive protests are taking place here in Jammu as well.
The dramatic visuals we are getting from the Jantar Mantar of the national capital. These are the Karyakartas of Indian Youth Congress, and they have been detained now. As they were protesting over here, they were crossing the barricades at the Jantar Mantar. Now they have been detained.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of buildings collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. The police has stopped the Congress workers from coming. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Congress workers are now being detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police. The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Despite many clarifications by the union government, the Congress seems to be in no mood of coming into the house, and that's why these massive protests are taking place here in Jammu as well.
Opposition leaders who are protesting at this point in time. Earlier, this was a scheduled meeting of the opposition leader. They are demanding the discussion on the Adani issue. That is something, the line which has been taken by the opposition leaders. Whereas the government is of the view, government stand is that they want the presidential speech to be happen, and after that, the discussion can happen in the 0 hour. The dramatic visuals we are getting from the Jantar Mantar of the national capital. These are the Karyakartas of Indian Youth Congress, and they have been detained now. As they were protesting over here, they were crossing the barricades at the Jantar Mantar. Now they have been detained.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. The police has stopped the Congress workers from coming. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Congress workers are now being detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of buildings collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Despite many clarifications by the union government, the Congress seems to be in no mood of coming into the house, and that's why these massive protests are taking place here.
Shocking attack on Yogi's humble origins. Elitist Rahul mocks Yogi's common origins. Vadra Congress calls Yogi a common thug. Debating tonight at 10 p.m.
Trending Burning Question, presented by Samsonite, powered by XUV400 and Cool Fans.
Hello and a very good evening. The show is called The Trending Burning Question, and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Our attempt on this edition of The Burning Question is actually to put out a story that not just surprises, it shocks us, but also a story that has a lot of importance. Today the focus is on the swearing in of an additional judge of the Madras High Court. Now you would wonder what's the big deal about it. So let me tell you what the big deal is. This is about lawyer Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri, who's taken oath as the additional judge of the Madras High Court. But what was this drama all about? How and why does this story become important? Because just minutes before this entire oath taking took place, the Supreme Court, the topmost court in the country, rejected a petition that challenged her appointment over her alleged hate speech against minorities. Now, her elevation is coming against the entire backdrop of some very, very staunch opposition that you have seen from a section of the legal fraternity. Also, some political parties who see red in this appointment. A section of lawyers also staged a protest very close to the Madras High Court campus where this elevation of Justice Gowri was taking place. But what is the story all about? Was this another attempt by the lobby, by some people to try and say that the appointment of a particular judge here is clouded with doubts? Before we have a good debate on this entire issue and a conversation with top legal experts, let's give you a complete backgrounder to what this story is all about, why this is controversial, and what has happened.
I, Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri.
Justice Victoria Gowri was being sworn in as an additional judge of the Madras High Court. The Supreme Court dismissed petitions against her elevation as a judge. This comes as a big setback to the lobby. The petitioners had cited Judge Gowri's alleged hate speech, arguing it made her unfit to take the oath. Top jurists call allegations against Victoria Gowri motivated.
Is there some kind of lobby behind it? And if yes, have they failed in this?
See, nowadays we see lobbies are proactive in maligning anything that is going right in this country. So they are not prepared to digest that the government or the Supreme Court can appoint a judge who had earlier been government counsel.
With this development, the lobby's tirade against Judge Gowri has fallen flat. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
So you've seen what this controversy was all about, also how some people still believe that the independence of the judiciary might have been compromised because they say that this particular advocate turned judge now has leanings to the BJP. Not just that, what they also allege is that she apparently at some point had given an anti-minority speech. But the Supreme Court, while it has dismissed this entire petition, remember, has some scathing observations. Because the Supreme Court says you cannot do this. You cannot question the collegium. What more has happened, you have seen in that report. Let's say good evening to our panel of guests who will join us in this debate/conversation that we are putting out. Swapnil Kothari is a senior lawyer. He's joining us from Mumbai. Sujata Pandey is also a political analyst with us on our show. I do see Tanvi and I see Tausif Ahmed Khan completing our panel. And let's take the first question to Tausif. Tausif, do you believe that every time this trick will not work? You know, trying to allege, trying to spread innuendos against almost anyone and everyone because you might not like that person is not working. It's now backfiring, Tausif.
No, you see, I don't know if the current challenge to the elevation of Justice Gowri before the Supreme Court would amount to innuendo, because there are certainly materials which show that Justice Gowri, now elevated, had in the past made remarks against a minority community, and it shows, you know, in order for a judge to deliver impartial and fair justice, the judge should not only be fair and impartial, but should be seen as fair and impartial. Not just because there is a linkage of the judge with the BJP political party. There is an affiliation, no doubt. She has appeared on behalf of the government in matters, and also she has passed these comments. Now, these objections were raised by the members of the legal fraternity bar of the Madras court. They have sent their representation directly to the Supreme Court Collegium. Supreme Court Collegium took cognizance of those materials and fixed the matter for hearing on February. Now, the matter was fixed for hearing on Friday, not February, sorry. In the meantime, the law minister made a tweet saying that the oath-taking ceremony would take the other day. So the matter was again mentioned before the bench, and the Chief Justice listed the matter for hearing the next day.
Before you run around in circles, Tauseef, let's come down to brass tacks. Do you know what the court has said today? Do you want me to share with you details of what we've heard from the Supreme Court today on this entire matter?
Court said, I'm aware of that. Court said that this is a temporary.
Why the Supreme Court has opined in a way it has, Tanvi.
No,
exactly. So there is a process. There is a process by which any legal system will work. But the point is, Tanvi, for how long will you people keep trying this?
See,
no, it is not
people
not
affiliate. Can I answer?
One second, Tauseef. That question is for Tanvi. Yes.
Good evening, Deepa, and I will make 3 points very quickly. My point number 1. People with political affiliations have been previously also appointed as judges of the Supreme Court and High Court respectively. Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer was a cabinet minister in Kerala when he was appointed as a judge. So, so these things don't matter personally, from the historical perspective. Now, my point number 2, Collegium has recommended the name. So I am still trying to figure out that why there was a political outburst on it. I understand the lawyers had certain concerns as a part of the legal fraternity because they are the stakeholders in this issue. So they going directly to the Supreme Court makes sense. And Supreme Court has addressed that issue as well, that they are very stern on this decision. That's fine. And they have settled the issue for now. And my last and final point, and that's the political point that I'll make over here. Deepa, we have seen in a couple of years that some of the judges, who have given certain statements or written certain judgments. For example, a judge of the Delhi High Court who wrote that P. Chidambaram was the kingpin of a certain scam, which was later, Supreme Court rejected that. He was the day he retired, he gave that judgment, and he was appointed next day as the judge of the R stat. So, so these post-political appointments that the BJP is doing and trying to...
What you're doing is kite flying. So I'm just going to stop you right there. Tanvi, what you're doing is kite flying, and be very cautious. Be very cautious because this is about the judiciary. And Sujata, I will ask for your patience because I want to go to Swapnil. Swapnil is smiling right now and he understands the nuances of a debate as sensitive as this. Swapnil, tomorrow, can anyone make any allegation against, say, absolutely anyone and say, listen, because some person might have at some point written anything against, a particular political party or in the favor of a particular political party. So let's not have that person anywhere. That person is not fit to be a judge. That person cannot be a journalist. It cannot be anyone else because, you are stamped as belonging to a particular cabal. The problem here is, Swapnil, at multiple levels. But I want to ask you, how do we solve this problem today?
Well, you cannot try to teach those who cannot be taught. Deepti, there are people who are going to have problems with the Collegium. This is not a singular attempt at the Collegium. This is the surround sound of all of this is initial remarks by the law minister, then by the vice president, and then back and forth, and then Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul had to give his final diktat that if you people do not approve of our recommendations, then we shall go ahead on their own. So this particular instance or this petition is not an affront to Justice Gowri, and I'm glad. Initially, I thought that it was some sort of a misogynistic petition in some form, but I believe that it's more so to a barb at the Collegium itself. It is not at Justice Gowri. It is at the Collegium stating that the Collegium itself is not proper. There is no transparency. There is opaqueness, etc. So for me, I was absolutely laughing at this when I was hearing this in the morning, and I told Nupur also by the same standard, I don't think Republic TV should be allowed to be beamed at all, because Republic TV for more often than not takes sides of the BJP. So if it's not a free country when it comes to Republic TV, it's not a free country when it comes to Victoria Gowri. So, it's absurd to put this argument because in terms of journalism, in terms of airing it, whenever there is BJP needs to be pulled up, Republic TV is the first to pull up the BJP and give a fair coin. So to say that Victoria Gowri is not going to dispense justice tomorrow when she'll be, hearing the matters is as absurd as saying that, she's going to pass a decision in favor of the people who love the BJP because she loves the BJP. Otherwise, if somebody loves the Congress, she's going to go against that. How absurd can an argument be? What is the eligibility? Look at the observations of the Supreme Court. It is not the suitability. It is the eligibility of the person. As far as I remember, under the Constitution, you have 35 years of age. You have to be 35 years of age. You have to possess an LLB or an LLM degree. And you have to have a 10 years of a practice in the High Court or collective lower courts together. So that's all there is to it. Nowhere there is a prescription, qualification D or E saying that you need to hate the BJP or you need to love the BJP. I'm sorry, there is no such thing. So, the lordships observed Deepthi properly, saying that if you are asking us to go back to the suitability, that means you are asking us to question the collegium decision. This is something which is absolutely absurd. I think we need to, and still they have taken up as an additional judge. So the thing is that tomorrow, if she were to go astray, if at all, then there is a solid chance that they will say that, look, you've been an additional judge, let's stop your career progress right here. They could do that. But the point is, I'm sure she's going to be able to dispense justice very favorably because there have been people, Deepthi, let me tell you, I have practiced in the United States, I have practiced in London, and I've been practicing here since 20 years. I have not known a single judge who does not have a political slant or a political, affiliation or some political bias. But that does not mean they are human beings at the end of the day. But their predilections do not come in the way. Today, if I were to write an article praising Narendra Modi, is anybody going to say Saurabh Kothari cannot become a judge? Just because he wrote an article praising Narendra Modi?
Tausif, let him complete his point. Then I'll allow you to counter. Let him please complete his point.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say,
Tausif, before you jump in here, and I want to get in Sujata because she hasn't spoken yet. But I quickly want to underscore what the Supreme Court has said. And I'm reading verbatim from the court. Now, the Supreme Court says, Tausif and Tanvi, for your benefit, the Supreme Court says, how can we act on conjectures and surmises? Inappropriate to assume collegium hasn't taken a view. We can't pass any orders at this stage, they said. Followed by, not in a position to say that this is a question of eligibility. Something that Swapnil Tausif rightly underscored. Then it goes on to say, asking the Supreme Court to direct the collegium to reconsider is unprecedented. So, that's why, Swapnil, today I can't wrap my head around the fact that this is just limited to this particular, advocate turned judge. Now, I'm sure this is a deeper malaise. There are some people in the country, Sujata, who believe that they can strike at almost anything and everything and get away with this. Tausif, I know I might have just riled you and provoked you, but just allow me 30 seconds because I want to go to Sujata quickly. Sujata, how do you see what's happened in the court?
See, Dipti, for very long, the Indian left enjoyed state patronage. They had a very tight grip on the bureaucracy, academia, and judiciary too was not, apart from this. And this gave them an illusion that they could actually cancel anybody with a counter viewpoint. So in this case too, if you see the judgment, the judges are clearly saying that the eligibility, that being part of a party or having said something on the party lines is definitely not a criteria of disqualification, and neither it has ever happened in the past. But why only Victoria Gowri? Because the left cabal believes that anybody who takes a stance with her own Sanatan Dharma or talks on the nationalism or exposes their demography change agenda by talking about the love jihad or the conversion is definitely becomes the target for these cabal. And this is what has happened today, because this is the same lobby, Deepti. It's ironical and hilarious that this is the same lobby who defends themselves as the freedom of it, as the lobby which defends all the time the freedom of expression and the personal viewpoints. But when it comes to a counter viewpoint, they just cannot digest it. They absolutely cannot digest it. But today I think is a great day for Indian democracy, where it has strengthened my belief in the judiciary, where judges have been very, very clear that propagandas won't work.
Now let me come in. You see
Okay,
when
Tausif wants to counter you. Tausif.
You see when the terror accused Sadhvi Pragya became member of parliament, people objected to it. Now here, if there are materials which kind of evokes a debate about the impartiality and the fairness of the probable candidate, then it is being debated. Now look at how the court is functioning and how government has functioned. Court yesterday
Tausif, do you believe that there is a vibrant legal justice system in the country or not? Tausif, do you believe that there is a vibrant, responsible legal justice system in the country or not? Just that little question to you.
Will you be fair to me? Will you allow me to finish?
Do not digress, Tausif. I'm absolutely being fair. That's exactly why I asked you that question. Because see, if someone, Tausif, does not believe in the judiciary at all, they do not believe the judiciary today is an independent body, they will put out all innuendos and motives. And that is why you will get exposed, Tausif.
Informing by tweet. Now when the challenge to her elevation is pending before the Supreme Court has fixed a date for hearing, and the law minister is
what are you alleging? Tausif, what are you alleging? We have limited time, and I want to go to everyone for a quick counter. Tausif, what are you alleging?
No.
Please look at the high drama in Supreme Court. Look at the high drama in Supreme Court. Matter was to be heard at 9:30.
So what are you alleging? The Supreme Court has decisively settled the entire issue. I want to know what is your problem? What are you alleging?
The bench of three judges in the chief court room number 1 was supposed to hear the matter.
This is what he's saying.
That did not happen.
Was also acting
the matter was
Arey Baba, you're going to court number 1, so court number this. Swapnil, Tausif doesn't have an answer.
Madam,
Tausif does not have an answer, Swapnil, but let me ask you one question. As a citizen today, if you want to say that someone is concerned about the particular background of any advocate who might be elevated as a judge and they cite certain hate speech, how does it work, Swapnil?
Aspersion on the character, casting aspersion on the character.
You're doing that. You try to do that. The Supreme Court has set the record straight, Tausif. Please watch your words. Be very careful.
Right.
Swapnil.
Right. Tausif, Tausif, you've had your time. So what I'm trying to say is very simple. The allegation seems to be that the Supreme Court should have heard the matter at 9:35. Just before the swearing in of at 10:35, and that time possibly the judgment would have held some more merit rather than passing it at 11 o'clock in the after she was sworn in. Now, these are very absurd allegations, and let me tell you, whoever the panelists are, that Deepthi is one of the best and the most prepared anchors that we have today in the entire media space, and she works possibly for the best channel in the country. So it's going to be very difficult for any panelist to go past her and her tough questions that she's going to ask. Now, as far as the hate speech part is concerned, Deepthi, there are people who make these speeches all the time. It's a free country. I would have possibly made some comments or remarks sometime at, possibly even against the judiciary at times, or even possibly against, some political party. But that does not mean that I'm not qualified to hold a position of a judge. I'm not a perfect human being to make perfect comments all the time. The aspect of impartiality, which my fellow panelist is pointing out, is something which is a presumption that the person is going to be absolutely partial when it comes to dispensation of justice. Now, Justice Krishna Iyer, as one of my panelists pointed out, was a political party affiliated person. He became one of the greatest judges ever. And let me tell you, he had a great slant towards leftist ideology. That doesn't mean that he was against all malls and against all developments. Obviously, so to presume something of that nature is doing a great harm. Today, we are having 32 judges in the Supreme Court as opposed to 34. Now we're going to, the two more, vacancies are supposed to be filled up. It was very nice that all of these things are happening today, even at the lower court level, say at the high court level, the judges are being filled up where there is a lack today, so that what happens, simpler litigants, Deepthi, like you and me, can have faith in the judiciary that my matter will be heard and not be passed on and by Tariq pe Tariq just because the judges are not there. So, to put spokes in the collegium system is basically to do the greater damage to the judiciary and greater damage to the independence and greater damage to the rule of law and democracy as a whole.
Swapnil, I have to ask you one more question. I have to ask you one more quick question. And you know, senior advocate Raju Ramchandran, and you must know this, Tausif and Tanvi, he also said that this challenge is not based on any political background. He referred to the hate speech. So, you know, the political background, the political leanings of someone, that matter is already settled, Swapnil. But I also want to know one thing, you know, for how long can we allow this to continue in the country? And for how long such people with impunity can come and allege anything against anyone? You know, leave aside you and me. We are normal, regular mango people. But the point is that tomorrow you allow all this to happen against a judge / an advocate, then there is no end to this, Swapnil. I just have the last 10 seconds for you.
Right. In fact, Deepthi, what's happening here is that the reason why that hate speech was cited is because they wanted to show a political affiliation.
That's their aim.
Because they always presume that BJP is against the minorities. That's why there was a political connect that they were trying to show. Now, as far as why this is going to happen and this is going to go on, this will be scuttled by the Supreme Court and by the judiciary once and for all, because the Supreme Court is very clear in its mind that the collegium system is here to stay. If you don't like it, then pass an amendment, do something constitutionally, go by the legal route, and then let it pass muster. We junked the NJAC judgment. I mean, we passed the NJAC, we junked the NJAC judgment, we passed that judgment. You never appealed against it. So now if you did not appeal at that time, now please come again with a second NJAC. It will rule over it again. But until then, please hold your horses and
Swapnil,
go with the collegium system.
You know, I'm so tempted to ask you the next question, but I've completely run out of time. But I was just thinking, that is there an attempt by some, you know, Sujata and Swapnil, Tanvi and Tausif, to actually show that there is a wedge between the judiciary and the government? You know, are some people also trying to say that? They're trying to allude to the fact that all is not well between the government and the judiciary. Right. Swapnil, your noddy is given me the answer, but I've completely run out of time. And before we conclude this debate, and I say thank you to Sujata, to Tanvi and to both gentlemen, Tausif, you must listen to this very carefully. After swearing in, what did Advocate Elsie Victoria, who is now an additional judge, said? She said, and I quote her, "I will strive to liberate the marginalized and to nurture fraternity in this diverse and beautiful land called India," unquote. So Tausif, I think these are also important words to remember. She has a responsibility, and the court has actually said that we are responsible. We have our internal checks and balances. So please be very, very careful the next time you believe that you can go out and hit out at almost anyone and everyone. We've run out of time, but it's been a fantastic conversation. I thank all of you. We are back on the other side with lots more.
The dramatic visuals we are getting from the Jantar Mantar of the National Capital. These are the Karyakartas of Indian Youth Congress, and they have been detained now. As they were protesting over here, they were crossing the barricades at the Jantar Mantar. Now they have been detained.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of buildings collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. The police has stopped the Congress workers from coming. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Congress workers are now being detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police. The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Despite many clarifications by the union government, the Congress seems to be in no mood of coming into the house, and that's why these massive protests are taking place here in Jammu as well.
opposition leaders who are protesting at this point in time. Earlier, this was a scheduled meeting of the opposition leader. They are demanding the discussion on the Adani issue. That is something, the line which has been taken by the opposition leaders. Whereas the government is of the view, government stand is that they want the presidential speech to be happen, and after that, the discussion can happen in the zero hour. The dramatic visuals we are getting from the Jantar Mantar of the national capital. These are the Karyakartas of Indian Youth Congress, and they have been detained now. As they were protesting over here, they were crossing the barricades at the Jantar Mantar. Now they have been detained.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. The police has stopped the Congress workers from coming. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Congress workers are now being detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of building collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Despite many clarifications by the union government, the Congress seems to be in no mood of coming into the house, and that's why these massive protests are taking place here in Jammu as well.
The dramatic visuals we are getting from the Jantar Mantar of the national capital. These are the Karyakartas of Indian Youth Congress, and they have been detained now. As they were protesting over here, they were crossing the barricades at the Jantar Mantar. Now they have been detained.
Earthquake magnitude consisted of 7.4 and it lasted for 40 seconds. A lot of building collapsed during first 10 seconds, and situation in southwest east of Turkey complicated by the weather. It is a snowstorm now in the area.
The Congress workers, there is a scuffle between the Congress workers and the Jammu and Kashmir police. The police has stopped the Congress workers from coming. However, the police has made it amply clear they have been denied the permission to move out from outside the Congress office, but they say that they won't stop, and this is the government's failure. Congress workers are now being detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police.
Day after Arnob says Adani storm ends, the issue is over. Adani stock soars amidst Rahul's blink-and-miss speech. Rahul's Adani speech